What's happening, everybody? Welcome to episode 15 of the Content Humanity podcast with Joe freaking Sharp, everybody. This
Yeah.
man is a legend. Welcome, Joe. Great to
Thank you,
have you.
Tim. Chris, thanks. It's good to be here. Thanks for your pre-hype session and allowing me to just share my fears about coming on something like this.
Yeah, bro. You have everything and nothing to be afraid of. Everything because it's your first podcast. And I'm so proud of you for that. And nothing because you're Joe fucking Sharp. And you have
You.
so much to give the world. And I think as people listen to this podcast and get a sense of your energy, it will become immediately apparent just what a grounding force you are for um, whoever has the privilege to know you. So yeah, it's an honor to have you here, man.
Thank you, man. That's very, very kind. Really kind. And I'm still learning to, I think, accept that kind of level of, compliment. I'm still learning. So thank you.
hmm
Appreciate that.
Yeah, dude. And one fear that came up for you, and I said I can't relate because I have yet to be on a podcast myself, but like it feels like a big step in the direction of visibility to like be on a podcast. And
Yeah.
it's funny to me because, and not funny, but it's like we're both in the season of like playing with more visibility. And that's how we met through a container of sharing and posting more through BC Cerna, who is an amazingly heart centered human being who puts his heart for the world to see online. And
Yeah.
I think that's something we're both after. And yeah, man, I just want to start by saying, like, how's that been for you becoming more visible online?
It was such a intense experience. They kind of describe it like going through a bit of a medicine journey, and I think that's a really nice way to describe it because there were so many of the challenges where my nervous system was just frazzled. Uh, I tried to push through. There were so many moments where I didn't push through because I was being kind to myself, exactly because of that. Uh, and so it was just like a huge learning. And I still feel like I'm really just at the beginning of it all, in terms of that and understanding and what that means. Um, it's not that I haven't put myself out in the world before. I believe I have, um, but it's always been attached to something that didn't feel as close to me. It didn't feel like as close to the sort of imperfectly perfect person that I am, like with all of my insecurities and the challenges that I've kind of been through. It was always linked to something or some other project. So there was a sense of safety in that, I suppose.
Mm,
But if there was something wrong with the project, it was the project. It wasn't me personally.
mm.
Yeah.
Dude, I resonate with that so much. Like, it's like feels so safe and comfortable to talk about something out there, like an idea or a story or a project or something, a success story that I've had that's like, okay, like there's the little bow around it and like the present that I can offer to the social media world. And then it's
Yeah.
like completely different to be like, this is me and this is like what happened to me this week. And like, it's still kind of unresolved, you know?
Yeah.
like,
This
I'm in
is
the
a nice
middle of life.
and yeah, I'm in the middle of life and it's not going as planned as I thought it would. But I'm learning this. Um, yeah.
How was that? Like, what were some edges that you experienced before we get into your story? Because I'd love to like
Yeah.
give you the chance to share that too. But yeah, what were your edges in posting in this challenge?
I still think there's more to explore there. I think there's more to explore there. I think staying consistent was an edge that I didn't succeed at. But I did stay consistently kind to myself.
Mm,
So I think I'll take that as a prize there. But it made me really aware of actually like how challenging it is
Mm,
and how many fears I'd got. And yeah, how fearful like my true self was at being kind of exposed, uh, and all aspects of myself, and how kind of unworthy it sort of felt. And I'm still working through that now. Even doing this is like triggering that a little bit, as we discussed at the beginning.
mm.
So yeah, it's all a work in progress.
Dude, well, I think what you're describing is like the most normal thing that any human being experiences, especially people who are thoughtful and self-aware like yourself. Like, it's like, am I really gonna put this online? Like, there's such a deep questioning process in that, and I think that that's normal and very healthy um, to question like what it is we're putting out into the world.
Yeah, totally, totally. And something I'd love to do more is actually be more consistently in the mindset of this isn't for me, this is for others.
Mm,
Uh, Something that at the moment is I'm only partially and occasionally connected to.
mm,
Sometimes I'll get a little moment that just feels good and feels inspired and like, well, this would be beautiful for other people to hear about or understand or know.
mm,
But most of the time it's just my own like small little mind, my own small little world.
mm.
That takes up the majority of my brain at the moment. So it's something that I like to keep working towards is like, how can this be of service? How can I get out of my own way?
Mm.
Share kind of what I've been designed to share, I suppose, through my own journey, my own experience, in the hopes that it could be supportive for one person.
Yeah, man. Dude, well, on that note, like I already mentioned at the beginning of this, I see you as such a grounding force, and your energy is so calming and sincere, and all these wonderful qualities that I could go on about. But um, I'll let the viewers just experience it in their own way without the words. And I am curious to know what has made a Joe Sharp a Joe Sharp. What were the foundations that were laid, and yeah, experiences that brought you to this point in life of wanting what it is that you're wanting, and being the person that you are being and becoming.
Yeah. Um, so, I mean, there was quite a bit of moving involved, like physical moving when I was younger.
Mm.
Moved from the UK to Spain. Um, and I think my mum was like always pretty creative and kind of encouraged me in that space. So I always felt quite encouraged to just explore and do different things and play. And yeah, kind of like loved being outside. Um,
Little nature boy.
yeah, I suppose a little nature, like mountain biking and just like doing strange, like little science experiments that only like a child would do.
Yeah.
Somebody older would be like, ethically, I don't think that's good. I don't think you can use magnifying glass on ants. I don't think that's a kind thing to do.
Dude, that was like a highlight of childhood, frying the ants with like the magnifying glass. It's like, oh, whoa.
I know.
Maybe
I
that's
was just like,
terrible,
wow, the
but I
power that you
hated
can
them.
have. But yeah, like looking back on that, I was just like, wow, that's terrible. But
Yeah, now it's like, oh
yeah,
man, any unnecessary suffering, count me out. I feel that.
that's a
I feel that. But as a kid, man, different story.
completely different story. Totally different story. Um, and then I mean, I released my goldfish because I thought it might want to be free.
I love that.
So that was kind of on the other side of the coin, but I released it down the toilet, thinking that was the freedom. That was the route to freedom. And it wasn't. It might have been. I hope it was.
Samsara.
I hope it was. I hope it was Finding Nemo. I hope he found his own way home. Fingers crossed.
Wow. Okay, so you were an outdoorsy, free-spirited, nature-oriented kinda kid. Curious,
Yeah,
it sounds like.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, really, really intrigued by how things worked and like how I could interact with, I suppose, like the environment and just play a lot as well. And then I think that sort of like shifted a bit. So we moved back to the UK, and then it was a bit more of a struggle at school. I experienced some bullying at school, um, and yeah, it was just there's just like a bit more of a challenging chapter, I suppose. Um,
Yeah, what happened?
yeah, I think it was a process of um, again, I would kind of like see something that to me like wasn't right. It wasn't morally right, so I'd get involved. Um, and make things worse for myself. Um, and then it felt quite isolating because I don't feel like I could speak to anybody about it really. And I sort of had to hide it. And I think my mum, um, she was, I think, from her own like growing up and her own experiences, I think she was more concerned about what other people thought versus what I was actually experiencing. Um, And then I think this is where the sort of like the relationship stuff kind of started. But, I think I think I believe she really struggled to be regulated in her own nervous system and connected to her own nervous system is the way I'd sort of describe it now. And that was just quite unsettling and unstable for me, like when I was younger. Uh,
Mm,
and so it's not that my experiences were different to other people's experiences, but I feel like there wasn't that like sense of nervous system safety home, like true feeling safe
mm.
underneath it all. Um, and, even if I'd had this language at the time, like it's a really tough one to ask for, like, hey, mom, I need you to be more regulated in your nervous system. Like what the fuck does that mean? Um, and so I believe, yeah, from that, I kind of experienced, yeah, what would then lead later on, I believe, to attachment wounds in relationships, which is sort of this inconsistent, um, sometimes showing up, sometimes not showing up. And my body and my nervous system had learned what was familiar to me. And so then patterns in relationships for the next 20 years just exposed that. And that's then become like a big portion of my work is understanding that and going back through and resolving that, um, and finding peace around it and finding forgiveness around it, uh, has been, yeah, a big part of the journey too.
Mm,
Uh, and I believe that's what I want to support, other people with too.
mm.
Yeah.
Wow. So a lot of pain in, that experience between bullying and the, not ever feeling like you could relax in your own nervous system, um,
Yeah.
and the inconsistent attachment. What did that produce? Like, what's your area of focus for coaching now? And yeah.
Yeah. It's mostly around, so like, I would say it's like anxious, but also like fearful avoidance. So it's kind of wanting or needing a connection to feel safe. And but then actually, if that connection's there, I never actually felt safe anyway. It was kind of like wanting and desiring that. But then when it was offered to me, everything in my system would be like, well, this is not safe either.
Mhm.
Uh, So as you can imagine, like for any partners that I was with, um, it's not exactly the most conducive and supportive environment for them to be in. Uh, it led to, yeah, like a lot of sort of painful endings. A lot of the time it was, if my neediness came up, then there was like a pulling back from the partner that I was with.
Mhm.
So a lot of the relationships just ended that way. And then sometimes, um, if they didn't leave, like I would almost find a way to sabotage it,
Mhm.
not intentionally, not maliciously, but just again, my body, my nervous system just didn't know any different. So it was like, this is not safe.
Hmm.
How can I the eject button? Even though I've tried so hard to create this thing and this thing that's right in front of me, there's no trust and belief and safety that this is actually going to be supportive, loving, nurturing.
Mm.
Uh, just because that imprint I hadn't learned that imprint
Mm.
intuitively.
Mm.
So my work is, yeah, having to learn that and practice that imprint.
Hmm.
I can do that for someone else and for myself, like crucially for myself first.
Mm.
Yeah.
Dude, I wonder, I'm sure there's a lot of people who just heard your description of your past relationships and the fear of intimacy or like the deep desire for it and the craving for it. But then when it's there or when you have needs pop up, the immediate
Yeah.
urge to pull back and to like resign and just check out and disappear. Um, I wonder, in your own words, like how would you characterize for someone listening who doesn't know anxious attachment, fearful avoidant, like what characterizes those experiences internally?
Yeah. Well, I believe like everybody exists on a spectrum of, and I also believe that, say, like attachment, avoidant attachment, anxious attachment, fearful avoidant, which is organized, however you want to call it, is like they're all just labels anyway, and we should never actually attach ourselves to these labels because it's not what we are.
Mm.
It's not who we are. Like the essence of what we all are, I believe, is love.
Mm.
Unconditional love is the essence of what we are. I believe it's the essence of existence and nature itself.
Mm.
Uh, so whether that's like, yeah, like referred to as love or God or source or whatever, uh, that's kind of what I believe. Yeah, we all are. But the attachment labeling can just be a little bit helpful as a signpost back home, I suppose, as a way to like kind of remind that, yeah, there's a pathway back home, to that. And so if you're more anxiously inclined, typically like the behaviors are more needy. So it's also like what I find interesting is like the social connotation of this word neediness is really, really negative.
Mm.
It's like you need, and then there's as a man as well, especially, it's like, oh, you're a needy man. Like there's like a social construct around that's horrific. That's terrible. Uh, but you wouldn't necessarily say like to a 2 year old or a 3 year old, oh, you're needy. And that's who's operating the need in the system.
Mm.
But those needs just weren't met at that time in the way that they needed to be met.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, and then I think if you're more sort of on the avoidant scale, again, it just comes back down to like a fear of connecting or believing that your true self is unworthy and you'll be abandoned. Um, so why not just avoid the pain altogether and either step away prematurely from a relationship before you get too close, before you can then be hurt and abandoned again as you experienced when you were growing up. Um, it's all just like protection mechanisms, really.
Mm.
Dude, well, I
Yeah,
love the way that you framed that, um, that these titles and labels of, like, avoidant and, fearful or anxious, um, like, our core is love, and, like, that everything's an expression of love, like, even the pulling away is
yeah,
I mean, there's a million ways to look at it, but, like, I think that, to me, feels like a core part of your message is, like, that we are love. I hear you say that a lot in our conversations we've had.
yeah,
And I wonder how you came to that conclusion in your own life.
yeah. I kind of got shown it, I suppose.
Mm.
Yeah, because I think like after kind of many years of like failed relationships and these same patterns happening over and over and over again, I got to a point in my life, and it was definitely like a real low point in my life. And I'd been with somebody that triggered all of these different things multiple times, and I kept stepping back into this relationship that anybody else from the outside would be like, "Why on earth are you returning to that?" I kept returning to that, and from that, um, yeah, hit like a bit of a choice point, I suppose. Like, do I continue in life, um, or do I explore something else? And yeah, kind of hit that moment of surrender. Got shown, I believe now, I would say it's like by God. I believe kind of God showed me a little pathway, and it was just like, oh, you're going to go on a plant medicine journey. You're going to do that. And that's what I did. And then I went there expecting to kind of have a really challenging experience, seeing all of the old stuff come up, whatever. And instead, I was just kind of shown that message that love is who I am. Love is what we all are. Like that's all it is. And it's not like the romantic, needy love, or it's like this, the God love, the unconditional love, the you're loved no matter what. Like that's the message that kind of, I got from it. And since then, if I ever get quiet enough to kind of listen to, divine guidance or wisdom, uh, and I kind of ask, like, well, what am I here to do? I just get this thing back saying, like, you are love.
Mm.
Well, that's not like that's not like a bullet point plan. That's not helpful. Like that's not going to pay for the but I believe it's just, maybe part of my message that I'm here to share and remind others of that is what they are.
Mm.
Wow. Um, I too have had that experience through psychedelics, but really through pain, the pain that that brought me into. And it's such a powerful realization to know that at our core, that's what we are. That, you know what? That's not what I intend to say. Um, I know who I am after that experience, and it's overwhelming to think about. And I wonder what that experience was like for you, during and afterwards, and kind of how that's oriented your life in particular moments, or how you want to show up.
Yeah. Um, so I think like following that, there was also like this little thing that came up with trees during that experience as well. Um, and I instantly got really interested in sustainability and like how we're treating the planet and how we're treating nature. Um, and I just couldn't do anything else. So I was running like a co-living and co-working business at the time. And instantly I was just like, well, how can I completely change this to be focused on sustainability and supporting the planet and supporting life. Um, and then COVID happened anyway, and kind of like forced me to reconsider things and work through some different challenges there. Um, but it just kind of oriented my whole life to be around, yeah, like what can we do? How can we act and live in love? Uh, and I believe when we're acting and living in love, like our environment will just be a reflection of that externally too. And so the planet that we live on, um, everything that we coexist with, uh, will just be a really harmonious reflection of that inner state. So the inner state will be reflected in the outer world.
Mm.
But yeah, and then I just really, I realized that it all started within. And I think after having sort of a few months of clarity and like enthusiasm and a lot of the fears being released from my mind, um, they all kind of came back. And then I just needed to start doing, the other modalities and the inner work and different forms of therapy and all sorts myself to kind of like to heal that internally. And I think that's my message. I think is like, yeah, like it's like relationally return to that state of who we are, like love, and then allow that to be expressed more fully in relationships, and then allow that to be expressed more fully in a bigger relationship with the planet that we live on and everything else that we exist with, and food systems and all sorts of different things. Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow. And it is felt, brother. It is felt. The stillness and calmness internally that you've cultivated to touch that ineffable thing is experienced. Like you channel that very palpably. So, um, yeah, man, such a gift. And I also want the people of the world to know that you are hosting breathwork events as of late. And I can only imagine how great of an experience that would be to get to be led into a state of connection to self and God through breathwork. Um, would you tell us a little bit about a recent event you did?
Yeah. So I've started to kind of collaborate with my friend Lee, who's just an incredible musician. Like he's got his own story, and I think it's really amazing. I think, yeah, one day he kind of deserves to share his own story with the world, because I think it's a really beautiful story. But yeah, it it means that I'm lucky enough to sort of um, explore these breath and music sessions with him, and it's supposed to be like just fairly joyful, fairly light. I used to teach breath work, and I was kind of like doing the really deep journeys, um, and I want to just find some sort of like, yeah, more of like a gentle connecting journey. Uh, that eventually becomes a little bit funky. Like that's the direction. Like if we can get towards just like just mostly funky music, like I feel like that would be like North Star. But maybe to help others like myself who've done, a bit of like the inner work, and they're ready to just like ground it a bit with, the grass beneath them and the music that's around them and the joy. Uh, so it's kind of like it's sort of geared at that, I suppose. And it also just helps me, gives me a place to play around a little bit, play around with music again, which is something that I used to really love. Uh, yeah, it's mostly just yeah, it's supposed to be just like a good fun project.
Cool. And I saw some of the photos on your story. It looked like a beautiful series of venues and community of people that you've been working with lately.
Yeah, it feels like this is the start. But like, I mean, for instance, like the Festival Ver Festival was just really beautiful, like a really beautiful festival in general. Like the facilitators there were amazing. The venue itself was completely beautiful. Um, but yeah, like the energy there was gorgeous. So many amazing people. And I went to so many of the workshops myself. Went to a really nice voice workshop as well, and a singing one. Kind of like tried to put myself, yeah, in different things that I wouldn't normally do. Yeah, I was really, really grateful for everybody that's there. Yeah.
That's so neat, dude. What's it like being a facilitator of all that?
Um, yeah, I mean, it was lovely. It was really like a really easy way in for me as well, because it was the tiniest little tent that was like hidden away in the woods.
Oh,
I think 5 people came,
oh,
and I was so happy with that, because I was like, well, if it was any more, I would have just been really nervous. So it was absolutely perfect. Um, and yeah, it's it's I don't know, I just really like it. I feel like we're going to do more with it for sure.
wow. Dude,
Mm.
Joe Sharp, four other humans, or yeah, in addition to Joe, and a tent in the woods. This is a description of
Yeah.
heaven.
You have got. I feel like you need to expand your vision of what's possible, Chris. Kind of you, but I feel like as it's very kind of you, but I feel like there could be even more, Chris. I don't want you to limit me in a tent with 4 other people.
We're dreaming too small over here.
It's still Chris. Very kind words, but yeah, please dream bigger as well.
Oh, Samsara. I'll have to ask the fish in my dreams.
We do ask the fish.
Oh,
Hopefully, you made it. Yeah.
dude, so what's on the horizon, brother? What excites you? Like what's bringing what joy do you anticipate in your future?
Um, I sense like lots of joy coming in lots of different ways. I'm not quite sure what it's going to look like, which is quite exciting in a way. And there's a few other things that I quite like as projects as well. And I like this one with robot squirrels, because I believe that.
I'm sorry, what? That's incredible.
Yeah, I believe they spend a few days a week kind of just doing a bit of rewilding and growing a bit of food for someone. And it's very nature focused. Like he's really knowledgeable about nature, and he's really like connected to the land and everything. Um, but yeah, it's something I've realized over the last few years, is like how we're in regards to like how to sort of love the land that we're on and we're existing on. I don't think it's necessarily to have robot squirrels. I just want to preface that. I think they're just like a step in the right direction, and they might not be necessary at all.
Are they actual
But
robot squirrels?
in my mind, they are. In my mind, they're like these little foraging squirrels. And so a lot of the issues that are existing in agriculture at the moment are just to do with how we harvest food. And so we tend to harvest in like long, straight, wide lines. Um, and nature doesn't tend to do that. Um, and so there's really beautiful ways to just kind of do things just with people. And like the permaculture is a really amazing example of that. And it kind of teaches how to do that. Um, and things like agroforestry, where you've got like, fruit trees growing and then different layers underneath the canopy of different fruits and vegetables and things that you can kind of like forage and connect to. Like they're much better for the land, they're much better for nature. But then my brain was just like, well, how do you make that? How do you scale that across the world? You either need to encourage loads of people to go back to the land and do that, which I think personally is the best option because there's so many benefits of being outside, of being in community, of being connected. But then like the small part of my brain that like looks at how we actually behave and is quite like realistic in terms of like, well, what humans say they want to do versus what they actually do. There's sometimes a bit of a gap there. So I'm like, well, how can we bridge that gap? And then I was like, oh, cool. We just get robot squirrels, um, which can just forage food in a way that mimics nature. And that means that you're not limited to having one crop in any area. It means that the land itself can recover much faster. You'll be able to have a higher portion of food in the same area. You wouldn't need to use any herbicides, pesticides. So it'll be good for the water. It'll be good for the land. And you could basically restore the world's degraded farming fields by shifting the way that we think about harvesting. And yeah, robot squirrels could be an option for that. I don't think they need to be, but they could be, and it works. I believe it works. I believe it could work.
Dude, I'll be honest, when you said that, I immediately pictured like some dystopic, like Pixar knockoff on like Disney Channel called like Robot Squirrels.
And that's the thing. It's also good to be honest about like the dystopia and utopia in terms of how but I think it's like how we relate to technology is just like an extension of how we relate to ourselves and how we relate to each other. And so it's, if you set up millions of robot squirrels up in the world and it was controlled just by one oligarch and overlord, like it would be a total dystopia. Whereas if it was just like a little helpful tool that each person kind of had, then it could be really helpful. And it's like, if you're growing your own food, like it seems idyllic, but then for people who've actually done it and they've done it for a long period of time, I've spoken to people who like do stop doing it and they get tired of doing the weeding and they get tired of doing like these small little tasks. And so like having a little assistant, could be helpful there, but it's not necessarily, it's just a possibility, depending on how. And I think, it depends on how we relate to ourselves. But there's more than enough people in the world to kind of like move back towards land. But it also enables that in a way, because at the moment you can't really live on a field that's growing one crop because there's no space to put a house or to put like a fruit tree in the middle of a field that's going to have a combine harvester go over the top of it. Whereas if you're growing in such a way where it's really diverse, you could help people find homes and make homes more affordable. It bring people back to the land more easily because there wouldn't be such a pressure between farmland and living land. So yeah.
Dude, so I'd forgotten that you worked in like co-living and co-working, you'd worked in that space. And I also know, or I don't know exactly what the area is like that you live in the UK, but just could you give me and the audience some context of kind of those two aspects of you and like how that's brought you to like this vision of the what you're describing, like farming and living on a land and community. Like I think a lot of people say they want that, but the leap there
Yeah.
feels really far. And it seems like you're closer than a lot of people to bringing that to fruition or experiencing that firsthand?
Yeah. So I mean, co-living the way I was involved in it, initially, was just as a way to have community for some when I was first working. I was in like that first wave of people that were like working remotely on their laptops. Um, and then I noticed like it could be a little bit isolating if you're just kind of working at home. And then I think, in the following years, and then especially during COVID, everybody suddenly realized that it's like, oh wow, like remote working is great, it's flexible, but it's it's easy to miss out on having some good company, and some good people around. But we were based in Portugal and Bali with like physical locations, uh, and then it turned into more of a platform. Uh, but yeah, here in Dorset would actually make a really great spot for for something like that. But I think it's also important to integrate it, because there's lots of like utopian visions for, you get a bunch of people together, you buy some land, uh, but it doesn't actually help the community that's kind of living around there. It's not very integrated, and I think the more challenging but more rewarding way to do it is actually how do you integrate all of the principles that you can learn from places and locations like that, but then bring it back to what's here already and what's already existing, and find those little nuggets um, in existing communities, and build up like those little moments and those little places where people can connect to each other, whether it's just like a really nice cafe or just little, like little open days for people to learn about food and to bring it all together. So I think it's like there's definitely potential to have like, utopian visions of what's possible. But I think the more rewarding thing is yeah, how do you make that work for everyone?
Yeah, dude, that's a beautiful point of like being integrated. Like, yes, you can have your insular community and your plot of land and your self-sustaining garden, but if it doesn't like serve the community surrounding it, like that's your own thing. Um,
Totally.
and there's not I said that with a lot of criticism in my voice, but like my own shadows showing up there, being selfish. But um, it's like, what does being of service look like to the broader community? Um, and also, I think too, as you were talking about that, I went to a coffee shop yesterday and they just bought a new patio of the property next door. And they were so excited to start hosting like music nights and like watching soccer games like this week or something. And just thinking about how in person small events are like so appreciated at this time right now. And any
Mm,
effort to like gather people in an intimate environment around an activity or food or conversation is just so appreciated. And
yeah.
it can be, yeah, just the experience that we all want from life. At least I want. Like, I want to be able to like sit with people I enjoy and like enjoy a conversation or learn something new or laugh or like meet cool people. Like, live, laugh, love, Like, I want that.
That, yeah. 100%. 100%. I could not agree more. Yeah. And it's so accessible as well. Yeah, I do believe it's accessible for everyone. Um, yeah,
That's really neat. Do you feel like you're finding your people at this time in life?
most definitely. Most definitely. And, and it's, yeah, it's, it's still kind of like I'm still just starting to connect to so many different people as well that I didn't expect to connect with.
Mm.
And, they're all in different places, and there's some that are just very local and based here as well that are just really, really lovely.
Mm.
I think like for myself, like working at this little cafe called Feed the Soul um, was really nice to just to be able to connect with so many different people that live locally. Because there's just so many beautiful people doing so many beautiful different things. And it's yeah, like it blows me away. I think like and I don't know how much of this is just like an inner perspective shift as well, because I'm guessing a lot of this was always here, but I only just started to see it and realize it and appreciate it
mm,
more and more, uh, over the last few years.
That's super neat, man. It's so cool to have other like-minded, like, innovators or, like, just people who, like, have a similar vision of what they want around you and are creating that, like, actively. Um, yeah, it's really neat. Who are some people that, like, inspire you? Obviously, we met through BC. He for me is someone that inspires me by the way he shows up on social media. But yeah, be it online or in person, who are some people whose work and vision inspires you?
Um, I mean, I would say like Alex and Nick, who run this little cafe,
mm,
um, they've just been like a little center point for the community for I think about 9 years now. Um, and the land that it's on um, were some of the first organic farmers in the UK. And so they were kind of like innovating in that field. Um, and then they had a farm shop. And then when they'd sort of done their time running it, they handed it over to these guys. And so it's a really nice example of how community and land can work. Uh, and they're just so I think like Alex, she's almost like a yeah, she's almost like this like mother energy
mm,
for anybody that goes into the cafe. She's so warm, so welcoming to anybody.
mm,
And then Nick's just he just loves life and he loves music and he's passionate about that and he's passionate about food and he's passionate about cooking. So he's just like living his passion
mm,
and he also loves people. And so like he couldn't be in a better place for it. And that feels really grounded to me because um like you might say like on paper it's not like a hugely I don't know, some people might say it's like not a really impressive thing, but I think it's the most impressive thing
mm,
to be connected to yourself, to be connected to your community, um, to be doing something that's uniquely you in such a special way and facilitating the connection of so many people in the local area like that. I think that's the most impressive thing to me.
mm.
Well, shout out is it Alex and Nick?
Yeah, Nick and Alex.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Mm,
Sounds amazing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's so many good people, and even like Steve, who I do some work for in his garden. Uh, he's just got that vision of love and appreciation of nature. And he spent the last sort of 25, 30 years doing it. And when you walk into his garden, into a space where there's food growing and there's so many trees that he's planted over the years that are now fruiting and there's chickens everywhere, you can just see what's possible. And it's just like, wow, this is what's possible
Hmm,
uh, when we're living in harmony with the land.
mm,
And that's really inspiring too.
hmm.
Wow. Well, short term and long term, I guess speaking more short term, how can people connect with you um, in person if they're local to where you're at or online to, yeah, share this vision of what you're building and becoming love and supporting the planet and, yeah, stepping into a secure attachment with oneself and the external world as well?
Yeah. Um, well, I guess like through Instagram, it's probably the easiest. Joe Sharp 86, and yeah, or in person. Yeah, well, like Instagram's probably easiest still, and they can just message and I'll come say hi. But yeah, yeah,
Slide
it'll
into
be
those.
lovely to connect.
Yeah, everyone slide into Joe's DMs. Joe's a homie.
Exactly that. Yeah, yeah. Join me in the heaven tent. It's just me and four other people. Yeah,
Yeah. Dude, that's what I want, man. I'm also gonna be starting some online and in-person stuff, but really focused on the in-person stuff, and, because 'cause I'm just like I'm cooked a bit right now for the online stuff, and, I want it to be small, like, intentionally small, even if it means
yeah,
having multiple meetings.
yeah,
There's something so special about a small, intimate group of people who can just be together. I love
yeah.
that.
100%. 100%. Yeah, yeah. I agree. Yeah, and it's what we really need, isn't it? I think as well as humans, just like having a small little community around us that feels safe, that feels supportive. Uh, that's really what we need. We don't need hundreds of thousands of people around the world. We just need a few. It's relationships. And uh, yeah,
Dude, well, it is a joy to be connected to you, and, by some miracle, by some odd connection through BC, and BC's got so many cool people in that group, so no surprise there,
yeah,
but, yeah,
yeah,
it's a joy to have met you.
yeah. You too, Chris. Mm, yeah, I look forward to more of your podcasts and to you being a guest as well, because I think like you've got so much beautiful stuff to share and to say. Uh, yeah, I would really appreciate listening to Chris Cast.
Mm.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, I'll have to keep my eyes and ears and heart open to that possibility.
Well, anybody that's listening to this that's got a podcast that wants to interview Chris,
I might ignore your
yeah,
invitation. I'm just kidding. How was it, by the way? I know this is kinda meta, like, we're still doing the podcast, but, like, how was the
yeah,
last 55 minutes?
yeah, it was like it was a really nice chance to have a chat. I suppose like um, for the last 20, 30 minutes as well. I was just I think it's just been quite warm today as well. So like my energy, like I notice my own energy is like a little bit lower. Uh, and I sometimes don't feel like I've got, you know, all of the most sensible things to say on all of these different topics because there's so many big topics. It's hard to know and to truly like actually share something worthwhile on all these big topics
Mm.
because so many people who just like specialize and like live in a community and they live in agriculture and they live in like all of these different things that it's hard to like share like fully knowledgeably about every different thing. Uh, so yeah,
Dude, I so relate to that. It's like, what if there's all these specialists who've spent their life or, like, years involved in different projects or, like, they have all this expert knowledge or maybe they're just knowledgeable in general. What do
yeah,
I have to add to the conversation? Um,
yeah,
that could be such a barrier to wanting to say anything or, like, share anything online.
totally, totally. But then I think what other people have got to add and like say, I think what I've got to add, for instance, um, is is that like that's like understanding different areas a little bit and living in different areas a little bit and being able to see the connections across them.
Mm.
bridging those things there. Um, and I think there's going to be so many other people who fit into that role as well, where they can kind of see something happening there that's relevant to something over there, and that they need to kind of bridge the two worlds or bridge the two connections.
Mm.
So the bridge people, I think the bridge people are kind of underappreciated because, uh, you know, it's easy to like look at and listen to like somebody who's just a specialist in one area, but the bridge people are needed to
Mm.
connect, see things others can't see.
Yeah, dude.
So
To anyone who's feeling that, myself included, I'm curious to know, like you mentioned to me, you've been feeling this concept of like, I don't want to be so niched down that I can't speak authentically about what seems to
uh,
me like your brain operates in this like connection mode of like, oh, there's this over here, then there's this, and they relate in this way. Like, could you share
yeah,
about, yeah, just your excitement about being yourself in that way and sharing in that manner?
yeah, yeah, I, yeah. I think my brain definitely doesn't thrive on one thing at all,
Mm.
and I think as soon as there's like limitations from anyone saying that you need to have one thing and you need to focus on one thing, everything in my energy and it feels like my soul just kind of like withers a bit. Uh, and I really don't believe that we're all supposed to be designed like that. I feel like for some people, like they love it and they love, learning the violin since they're 2 years old and they play it for 10 hours a day and it's their absolute joy and their absolute passion. And that's beautiful. But for myself, and I'm sure for millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of other people out there who are like, but I don't want to operate in this way. Um, I don't think we're designed to. I think for hundreds of thousands of years, we evolved in relatively small communities where it would have been really helpful to kind of see different things and to explore and to play around with different things. Um, and so, yeah, I think the world that we've been living in for the last sort of few hundred years, or especially like the last 50 years, has been really focused on because there's so many people and we're all so connected. You can't do more than one thing. You have to just do one thing and you have to do one thing really, really well. And whilst I think that's being true in regards to, creating a business or getting something off the ground, I don't think it has to be true. Uh, and I feel like the one thing that I am becoming more aware of is just the energy underneath all of it. Like, what is going to fill me up energetically? What's going to bring me some joy? And I'll do that regardless of the outcome, regardless of like, there's no strategy attached to it. I think I've so often just limit myself by like, strategically, how does that make sense for the X, Y, and Z? And it's just like, fuck off. Like that, that is not serving me in any way, shape, or and so just tuning into the energy underneath all of it, I believe is a much more helpful way of existing.
Mm.
And it's something that I'm use as my compass.
Mm. Hmm.
'Cause AI and AGI and all that stuff's going to do fucking everything better than everyone anyway. So that's the only irreplaceable thing is like who you are and your own energy,
Mm.
your own expression of life. And I think that's the only thing that's going to matter.
Hmm.
Wow. And the more that we express our joy and step into alignment with our authenticity and who we are, the more we invite people to do that as well. It's like a magnetic, and that's not the point of it being magnetic, but it is. It's like you get to invite people into their own most true self and like
Yeah,
being a kid again. Like that's fucking awesome.
exactly. Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. Yeah. And like you said, it's kind of like other people. like will trigger that. And like, I know for myself, like I've felt triggered by some people who are like super authentic. And I'm like, why am I triggered by that? And it's just where I wasn't doing it myself, where I still need to do it myself. And that's still ongoing for me. I don't think I'm finished in that sense, but yeah, I appreciate those people who are just doing it. I know that word's used a lot these days, but authentically, I think it's going to be just the most relevant thing for everyone, just to be themselves.
Yeah, man. And there's a million ways to do that, which is so beautiful. Like, yeah, like our society would collapse if like everyone quit their corporate jobs and like, like tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like maybe 2 weeks from now would be fine. I hope that happens, but like, just kidding. But yeah, it's like there's a place for so many different types of expression and paths in life. And it's interesting as fuck to meet people who have a different path in life and are enjoying their life sincerely, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating."
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I mean, I agree. Like I'm really appreciative of anybody that's actually doing that and doing that successfully, because I still like jump into the doubting part of my brain. It's just like, but how's that going to work? Like, how does that? How do you explain to the person that you're trying to get like a mortgage from that like you're following energy as as your main thing in life? Uh,
Well, isn't that
and so
funny that, like, the financial institutions who offer mortgages are looking for, like, this clean and cut, socially agreed upon way of making money? Like, sell shrooms, y'all. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I, I've I've, taken a psychedelic in my life and, had access to them at points in life, and, that never crossed my mind, but, all these fucking disclaimers. But, I don't know where I was going with that. I think I just put my foot in my mouth a little bit, but, shrooms are great, y'all. I'm not dealing, by the way.
once you were like, it's great. Like you should, if you start a podcast,
Yeah.
just kind of like subtly sort of like drop it in there. Um,
Yeah, I really
yeah.
yeah. I will say there are ways to
How,
learn how to do that, as there are ways to learn how to do anything in life. It's infeasible in a van because of temperature reasons, I would imagine. But, but yeah, it's like there's just follow your joy. Like I haven't taken a psychedelic in a very long time, actually. It's been years. Except for the LSD that I took like 7 months ago, and I trespassed and got arrested that night because I napped. And when I woke up, I thought I was lucid dreaming for the next 4 days and I was homeless. It was a whole story. But part of it was getting arrested and put in jail. So I'm off my psychedelics for a little bit, and I had been for years prior to that. But um, yeah, there's just so many paths in life, and I'm trying to bring it back to what we were talking about rather than psychedelics. But yeah, I think, and then here's how I relate to it is like I live in a van, which is a very like not traditional life, and I have a lot of back pain, and it's great, and I love that. But like, that's literally just a path, and it has its limitations and its benefits, and like, I'm just endlessly fascinated by like everyone's journey, like um, I think it's so easy to like idealize or even diminish other people's paths because of our own life experiences. But the attitude of curiosity that clearly you've had throughout your whole life and that I also share is like, I want to know, yeah, like how we're different. Like there's so much to learn in our differences. It fascinates me.
yeah, and that like feels like your real gift as well.
Mm.
It's like gift of curiosity that you've got. And do you feel like that everybody has that curiosity?
No, no.
Yeah, good. Uh,
It's a bit
And I
isolating,
think,
yeah. But I mean, I'm
yeah.
glad I have it 'cause I don't know who I'd be without it, but, yeah, it can be a bit isolating because it's like I have an endless interest. I could ask a million questions and never say another word in my life, and it would be so satisfying.
Mm. Well, this is like, yeah, this is definitely a gift, and it's good that you recognize that as well. Do you feel that everybody has the capacity to be more curious?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. What do you feel is limiting people from accessing their own curiosity?
Ugh, fear of themselves. I think is at the
Mm,
core because it's like if you're how could you be curious about another person or another way of life if there's parts of yourself that you're scared of looking at or
yeah.
accepting or even like, yeah, giving your awareness to? Um, yeah,
Yeah, that's an incredible answer. Did you feel like naturally everybody would be a lot more curious if there was a lot less fear?
yeah.
Wow.
That's a great question, bro. You doing a podcast
Yeah,
anytime soon?
really. It's such a nice. I'd never connected those dots. Like that's. I think that's so true.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I never thought of it I'd never thought of the question, so I appreciate it, and yeah, I think that there's just so much fear of ourselves, and, for me, shadow work has been a thing that I've been doing even before I knew the term of it,
Right.
and, I want to excavate every light and dark part of my mind to the nth degree, and that can be a lifelong journey of, pushing the rock up the hill. Hang on, there's a trash can. Of course, there's a trash truck driving by as we're talking about shadow work and excavating the dark parts of our
Yeah.
minds.
There you go.
Because, like,
There you go.
at a certain point, it's like we're all scared of ourselves and what we could be and our darkness.
Yeah.
And something that I've been learning is God. If God is love, which I have experienced God as love,
Mm,
there is no fear in love, and we actually isolate ourselves from the experience of God and connecting with God if we are rejecting of ourselves and our psyche and who we've been and the decisions we've made and the things we're
mm,
ashamed of and the things that we are
yeah.
scared to look at within ourselves. And in my
Yeah.
experience, the more I look at those things and I look into um, the sadness of those things and the um, pain and the regret and the shame and like all the shit that we go through in life, um, the more it frees us to be accepting of ourselves and therefore loving of ourselves and therefore loving of other people in the world.
Mm,
And it's like this immense freedom and character building process of like, oh, like I'm free now to be who I want to be, not who I've been or who I like am conditioned to stay in a pattern anymore. I'm free to be who I really
yeah.
am, which is love. I completely agree. We're all just trying to come into our expression of love and we put our own limits in the way because of our fear. And fear is normal, so it's not to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Mm, right. That's yeah. There you go. You've got the nail on the head there. I do believe that yeah, you need to share more about that
Mm.
with the person for it.
yeah, it's fucking time, dude. It's fucking time. God damn it. Ugh,
Mm.
it's terrifying though to talk about that kind of stuff.
It is, right? Yeah. Even for you as well, like when you started talking about mushrooms, I'm just like, there's the part of me that's like, Um, yeah, being conditioned to be like step away from that a little bit
mm,
based on how it's perceived
Yeah.
or how it may be perceived. Um, I think mushrooms are yeah, they've got their intelligence as well. But my experience with mushrooms has always been quite challenging.
mm,
They've always been like very yeah, like shadow work, I suppose.
mm.
Dude, I wanna do a
They're always,
podcast with you or some form of content where we talk about the esoteric shit because I know we're both in that rabbit hole in a way that's, like,
Mhm.
grounded and practical too. So and there's few people I think who, uh, share that interest in a grounded way. So,
That would be really good to do. And I think it's good because it's like I have the thought of like, well, what if this person is witnessing me talk about that, which is still my own fear that I'm projecting outside of myself.
Mm,
But it's helpful for me to explore that because it's like you said, it's the shadow work and it's the freeing myself of those fears.
mm,
Why am I why am I existing within those fears?
mm,
Why am I limiting myself and my own curiosity?
mm.
So I think you're right, like being in that state of pure freedom and love, like you'll just be completely curious all the time. Like, why are you doing that? Like kids, right? Like, "Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Why?" Yeah,
Mm,
extra. Yeah,
Yeah, dude, I just feel, so joyful and, revitalized from this conversation, and, yeah, just a deeper level of excitement and acceptance to be myself in the world, and, I hope the
yeah,
listeners feel the same way and, are just encouraged by, yeah, everything that we've talked about and you as well, my friend. Thank you
mhm,
for being so open and, sharing your story so courageously for the last hour plus. It's been incredible to have you here.
yeah. I appreciate that.
And by here, I mean there and everywhere because we are neither here nor there.
It's true. It's so true. Mm. Yeah, no, I really appreciate it, Chris. Um, yeah, it's helpful for me still. I think just on um, the really simple, just like fears of being seen,
mm.
and that's still a bit of my work. I think.
Mhm. Well, I see you as much as I can see you, and I appreciate you. Actually, I
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and I feel it reciprocally too. So it's a joy to be hanging.
Beautiful.
All right, so Joe Sharp 86 on Instagram, right? Is
Yeah,
is the handle?
that's it.
All right. Any closing thoughts for any listeners who stuck around?
Um, I guess like be yourself as much as possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I'm noticing now like this is something that I've been working through as well with loads of the fascia stuff as well. Like different contractions that are in my body, and they usually have a bit of a message.
Mm,
And so for the last sort of 15, 20 minutes, there's like been a little subtle one here as well.
mm,
Right. So I think that's like, a fear coming to the surface or needing something. So I think I'm going to go do some work around that.
mm,
Love it, dude. I love the honesty, and we need more honest people in the world who aren't gonna lie and say they're okay when that they're like perfectly grounded.
Yeah, I'm not very grounded at all. Yeah, yeah. I'm like a 3 or 4 out of 10 on the grounded scale right now. Yeah, yeah.
That's so honest, dude. On my first podcast, I imagine I will be right there with you, brother. Holy shit. Thank you
Yeah.
thank you for the
Uh,
honesty, dude.
yeah, you're welcome.
You are a gift.
Thank you very much, then.
All right, everybody. And Joe Sharp, thank you for being a human being on this planet. And thank you all for listening. And please get in touch with Joe to continue the conversation. Thanks for listening.